welcome to Kayotic. Today I have with me Taysha. We have known each other for, honestly, it's going to take me forever to count the amount of years. Like, so long. I think I met Taysha when she was 6 or 7. Taysha used to live across the street. Her mom and my mom actually became best friends, and they've been best friends ever since. We actually grew up together and at one point shared a bedroom. Now Taysha is living in Spokane. We grew up in Ontario, Oregon, but she has started her own design business. She's going to talk to us a little bit about what branding and identity and entrepreneurship has been like for her. So Taysha, for the girlies who don't know, like, give us a little bit about yourself.
I am Taysha. I have Taysha's Design Studio. I know that's super original, but it's just me over there. I do brand strategy, brand identity, website design. I've tinkered with some other aspects we can talk about, but that's primarily what I focus on right now. And I work with I'm open to anyone. Obviously, we've got moms and females here. Obviously, reach out. Service-based businesses. I have experience in a wide range of areas, so I'm not opposed to new things either.
How would you define brand identity to somebody who feels like their life is all over the place?
So we have a lot of language going around when it comes across like branding, visual identity, branding strategy, all of it to say all of these aspects work together. And it's not supposed to be complicated, especially if you hire an expert. We're supposed to handle that for you. So branding, the visual side of things, is the aesthetic side of things. So color, typography, photography, stuff like that. Then you have strategy, which is involved in that. And that's more of the like data, the boring side, but strategists love doing that. That's the competitor analysis, areas of weakness that they have that you could possibly lean into just to set you further apart and have better success.
I know a lot of like my girlfriends who have started their own businesses and decided like, okay, hey, I'm going to get into this. I'm going to open a salon, or I'm going to do lashes or nails, or, whatever their small business be, jewelry. What mistakes do you think they would be making when they try to brand too early or too perfectly? Like, should the focus be on getting the logo, or what are your thoughts around that?
So brand new businesses, typically they DIY, and I don't think you should never be shamed for that. We all do it. There's growing pains. It's not going to be perfect for one. I think the first thing that you should focus on, if we're going to talk strategy-wise, is a clear offer, because that's going to get you further in the long run. If we're talking about the visual side of things, probably a logo first, because all of those pieces fit with it, like the colors and the typography that you use. But that will eventually evolve over time, so don't try to put too much pressure into it.
I'll say, like, when I started my first business, that was one of the things I think we made a mistake on, is we put so much effort into what's it going to look like? And then we're like, okay, how do we sell our service? Like, we spent hours and hours and hours like trying to get the social media ready. And once we had it ready, we were like, okay, so what about contracts? Like, it was a second thought. Do you feel like, is there like a step-by-step you would do? Like, if you were going to start a business and you want to like get your name out there?
That's a hard one, because I think naturally we all lean towards the more visual, exciting, because that's the quick, immediate result. I do think strategy is super important, and that should be your first step. And we can get into nitty-gritty about choosing your name and the process of that. Don't just choose any name. You need to see like what's already out there. If you pick like YouTube, for example, there's no way that you're even going to show up on the first page, because there's so much stuff out there.
Burning question on my mind. Do you help businesses figure out what their offer is going to be? Or like, when you're talking about brand, do you talk about like a bigger picture, or do you just focus on colors and schemes and websites and that type of thing?
So I definitely offer like the more visual side of things. I do really lean into strategy because I think it's important. However, I don't do the business plan or the business outline. I think in our strategy sessions, I have seriously a lot of questions that I ask. If there's like a clear component that maybe you haven't considered, I can bring that up to you. At the end of the day, how you run your business is your decision, and I'm just here to give you my advice.
What would you say makes a brand feel real and not just pretty?
I think it comes down to if you're being authentic, because we can all tell, right? When you have if we reference social media, for example, you see the super pleasing and aesthetic videos, which we all like, but right now that content is dropping because we're all tired of seeing the same thing. We want the real version of you. We want the nitty gritty. We want the behind the scenes with the dirty dishes and, oh, I forgot to do my laundry for the third time. Like, if it feels like there's an actual human behind it and it's not being ran by Chat GPT, then I think that's where you focus.
I think that's a really good call out too. I've seen a lot of that on social media, like the accounts and people who are now starting to gain followings and blowing up are the more authentic style content. What would you say or do to help someone get to a point where they feel like this feels like me? Like if they're stuck in a place where they're like, I don't know, like I have an idea, I know how I want to help people, but like I don't know how to solidify my brand. What do you do, or what would you say to help them get to like, this feels like me?
I think you need to quiet the outside noise. We're all really good at like imposter syndrome, for example. Oh, well, they're doing it this way. Maybe I should try it that way. Like, you know, in your gut, if it doesn't feel right, that's not it. And you aren't supposed to be that person, right? We're all supposed to be individuals. I would reflect on what's making you feel off.
Imposter syndrome is so real. That speaks to a lot of like women starting their first business is like, what am I doing? Who told me I could do this? I know I've experienced it, especially doing the podcast. It's like, who told me I could do this? Like, how did I like record my episode on one track when I meant to record it on three? Like, and I felt so confident. And then I was like, yes, we did it, an hour recording, and it's lost. Also, my very first episode, just to know, I did with another one of my friends, and I completely recorded it in the wrong file format. I couldn't even open it. And then I had to learn a whole new program to try and open it. And then I realized that one of our microphones didn't have enough power. Like the power was turned down. So one of us sounds really great and the other one is like a whisper. So cringy, but yeah, imposter syndrome for sure.
I do think to add to that, though, is you need to give yourself the permission to do what you're seeking.
Also, I think with the podcast, that's kind of where I started feeling like I needed to rebrand it. You know, the idea when I started, a lot of that's the same. Like, I still want to do unfiltered conversations and I want to be real and I want to speak to my girls out there. But when I was thinking about the name of it, I felt like the name wasn't fitting my vibe. And then when I thought of the name Kayotic, that's exactly like I had an aha moment because I was like, yes, this is it. And everything is so chaotic in my life, like with the 4 kids and trying to be an entrepreneur and learning all these systems and doing it all by yourself. Like, you're a one-man show. I didn't even know where to start when I started feeling like, okay, I have this thing. I want to grow it. I want to speak to the person I want to speak to. Where do you start when you're thinking you need a rebrand?
So rebrands usually because something feels off, right? And you just said like the name didn't feel right to you. And obviously as you grow, you evolve. So naturally that's going to happen. I'm trying to think of something that's not like strategy based because I sound like a broken record, but I think that's where you start is the strategy. The name is a perfect example. I do highly recommend taking the time to reflect on it. You shouldn't rush into anything because once you can change your business, but if you keep changing it, that can cause harm, can confuse your audience, it can build mistrust. So take the time to make those hard calls. And if it feels right, then naturally take the same flow that you did when you first started. It's going to change like the color, typography, the logo, the messaging, how you pitch yourself, that kind of stuff. Once you've nailed all that down, do a slow pitch on your current platform. Don't just like give them whiplash and say, hey, this is what I look like now, surprise, because they're going to be confused.
Have you ever rebranded?
Naturally. So being a business owner, no, I've had the same look. I did just update my website and it's so much better.
It does. It looks good.
But however, like my journey, so naturally I went to college, I did freelancing, I created a logo that I thought was the best logo ever. Looking at it now, it's absolute trash. But as you evolve, I changed it again because then I had corporate experience and I was doing different freelancing pitches and it didn't feel like the same. So I was evolving, right? Freelancing is you kind of just do anything and everything you can get your hands on. But I wanted to be a business owner and I wanted to niche down and offer core services. So that meant I needed a brand new rebrand.
So when you say niche down, like what are you talking about?
Oh my gosh. So I feel like again, that's a topic that I feel like we're getting whiplash with also. So it was super, super popular, at least for me, maybe when I first started. So back in 2022, my business, everyone was forcing you, like, you need to niche down. And the pros was if you niche down, let's say like Nike, for example, sportswear, but they're specialized it down to like, let's say women only, or the cute fits for mom who are going to pick up their kids from soccer, right? That specifically is a niche and you only offer that. And the pros for that is because it's such a small, circle that you are the expert in that field. So you can pitch yourself better. However, then you have people who are like multi-passionate and can't filter down to one thing. They want to offer a wide range of services and that doesn't work for them. And when you try to force yourself into something that's not you, going back to being authentic and everything feeling off, you're just overall you fall down. So when I say niche for me, it means offering specific services and not everything under the sun.
I think that is probably one of the hardest things to do because people have so many interests and trying to figure out, like, nobody wants to be put in a box, but then you have to be in a box to grow it's so cringy. I hate it. I hate that so much.
Let me challenge your perspective.
Okay.
So just because you start out in a box doesn't mean you're set in that box. I think, and you could argue it's the same concept with people who thrive on routines and people who feel like that's a box and there's no like structure doesn't work for them. My point is when you focus on just two things, it creates less stress on your end and your offerings are clear. But that doesn't mean that you can't be building other things behind the scenes. We don't want too many things to where everybody's confused. Like, what does that person offer? What does that business do? Like, for example, just because I offer two primary things doesn't mean that I'm not currently working on two additional beta services.
What are your thoughts on building a personal brand versus a business brand?
I think context matters. So if you're like an influencer, I guess maybe that would be a hard thing because you are the business, so to speak. And then I'm comparing it to myself. I'm a service-based business, but it's also just me. So those mesh together as well. I feel like the corporate distinction is dead. A lot of people don't want to read like we, this, whatever, when there's really just one person behind the scenes. And you can build that emotional connection if they know who you are, which is overall going to build you loyal leads.
So how would you suggest you balance strategy versus vibes when branding with creatives?
I do think they're one and the same. Like, we're all a little creative, right? Especially when it comes to like the passion and emotion we have with our business. I will just say, like, PSA, if you do hire an expert, please trust and allow us to do what you've paid us to do. For example, that doesn't mean just because like your favorite color is pink, doesn't mean that everything in your brand needs to be pink. You can decorate your house with pink. The strategy is very, very crucial because that's what sets you apart. Visual aesthetics, anyone and everyone can have a pretty brand, but if there's no meat behind it, you're not going to succeed.
So I know I have a lot of friends who have kind of tapped into the personal brand, like creator, momfluencer type situation. What type of advice would you give to this woman who is trying to juggle everything? They're trying to post, they're trying to develop a strategy, develop an offer, gain followers so they can help make extra money for their family.
First of all, you are a human being and you can't do everything. I know that sucks to hear, but you can't. holding yourself to a super high standard is going to burn you out quicker than accepting that maybe you need help. But to be said, like, not everyone's going to have a ton of money to invest in branding, and I don't think we should expect that, especially when starting out. First of all, social media, there's so much content out there of like, you should be doing this. If you don't do this, you're not going to succeed. At the end of the day, consistency and providing value is what matters, and showing up when you can show up. That doesn't mean that you have to post 3 times a day, 5 days a week. That's ridiculous. Nobody does that unless it's a corporate company. Showing up twice a week, however you can, that's good enough. You don't need to be doing more. Then you can focus on other areas of your business.
How do you balance like your relationship and being an entrepreneur? I mean, especially working from home.
I love my husband. So currently he works at a different job. So he leaves the house, and like pros and cons there, but he gets home super late too. And our schedule is just super out of whack, which moms out there, I can't even imagine. I don't have kids and I'm complaining about just me and my husband. You got to make priorities. So thankfully I'm in a situation where I can contract out. So being able to get some support gives me free time and room to focus on other important areas. But again, it just comes back to understanding what you can actually handle on your plate and accepting the fact that some things can't be handled right away. If that means, there's a lot of marketing stuff out there, but like if that means just posting twice a week on social media and not offering a newsletter or not offering a blog post, then that's what that means.
Do you have any like hot takes on how often you should be like posting on social media?
So let me just premise, I don't offer social media marketing, but I have. That's another service I offered a while back. And let me just shout out, that job is super hard. Anyways, so posting, I just really feel like what works for you is what matters. When it was just me, I would try to post 5 days a week, and it turned into not posting for an entire month. Like I was just creating these standards that I absolutely could not meet. And I'm 100% a perfectionist. I hold myself really high. When things don't go well, I internally beat the crap out of myself. I know I'm toxic. I'm working on it. When you do that to yourself, what happens is you just stop showing up. And then your audience is like, they don't buy from you. They start to distrust. Like there's huge repercussions. So in my book, you need to find out what works for you. Some people, maybe you post once a week and you're on your stories 5 days a week. Like whatever, just show up.
Is there a time when you like really experienced burnout? What was that like for you?
Oh my God. So naturally, I don't want to say as a creative because everybody can experience burnout, but I've experienced micro burnout, especially working in the corporate industry when you're doing the same thing over and over. Like that doesn't build your flame, if anything. But the most recent, like severe burnout, where I thought maybe I was experiencing depression for the first time. I think I can do more than I actually can. I had way too much on my plate. I work at home. You know how this goes. You got your laptop, you've got the convenience. So I'll wake up, I'll go into my office, and then my laptop naturally comes with me into the living room and then everywhere else. So it turned into, I was basically working around the clock. There was no external anything. I wasn't getting exercise. I was barely eating. All the caffeine, which is super helpful. But I had 3 days where I gave myself a break, like the weekend, right? And I just laid in my bed all day without the lights on. I don't do that at all. And the husband came in and he's like, are you okay? I was like, I don't think so. But this is all the energy I have. And I couldn't help him with the dogs. I was isolated for 3 days. And then I think I had like a therapist appointment naturally after that, which was helpful. And then I saw a nutritionist and I kind of got back on. But I had too much on my plate. I just killed myself, essentially.
Can you recognize when it's happening now?
The goal is to not see it, right? So I'm trying to set up a better balance of client work and sticking up to like, I asked ChatGPT to help me create a routine for myself. And there's pros and cons to ChatGPT, but I had it like outline, these are how many hours I need to work throughout the day, and make sure that you have like a gym session in there and that I'm taking really long walks with my dogs, getting out in the nature, out of the house. Being remote is super isolating.
I can totally agree. First of all, yeah, working from home is hard and also like distracting. So I feel sometimes like I can never finish working either because I blend working like homework, like dishes, laundry, cleaning up with my actual work. So like I get off of, or I'll take a 15-minute break from my job and then do laundry for like the whole 15 minutes. It's like as much as I can do during my break time, and then go back to work. And then I get off of work for the day, and then I'm right back into housework. And I feel like there's no lines. They're very blurred.
Yeah. Starting out as the entrepreneur, also females, like we can multitask better than certain other individuals. So, and especially with working from home, you're almost expected to like take care of these things because you're at home, which makes that line even harder to keep for yourself. Like just because I'm typing on my computer all day from the house doesn't mean that I can go wash the dishes or pop this in the oven, or anyways, that's my own.
Girl, preach. What would you say your red flags are where you need to like take a break?
Well, I'm associating burnout with stress. So currently my nubs, I'm really, really bad at chewing my nails. So that's red flag number one. Also, if we're being completely honest, I have really bad acne and I'm a picker for sure. I wish I wasn't, but that's flag number two. I absolutely love working with this business, and I was asked to do an emergency project when my work was already super full, and we got it done, and I'm super grateful that I took it on because it was also something very outside of my comfort zone, but that resulted in nights where I was working until 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. That's red flag, what are we up, number 4 now? So thankfully, because of that, I've got this cushion where if I finish everything on time, I won't have any client work for a week or two. So I'm hoping that'll allow me to bounce back. But I think being aware of what's currently on your load and that you're not giving yourself too much.
So for the women or creatives listening who are ready to level up their brand, how can they work with you?
So my name can be a little challenging to spell, but it's Taysha Design Studios. I have a website. I'm on Instagram, Threads, Facebook. I think that's it. All that to say, basically reach out where you're comfortable. Obviously, I have all of my information on my website. Those are going to be the common questions of like, well, what does this include? What is my pricing? You can inquire there. You can reach out to me on Instagram. I'm approachable. I'm a human.
Okay, so our last question. What would be the advice you'd give your younger self just starting out?
There's a lot of directions I could go with that one. I think what my youngest self needed to hear the most was that it's okay to want success and that I'm worthy of it.
100%. Thank you so much for being here today. And I will leave Taysha's information linked in the description. Okay, bye.